Now, the first word to discuss is neither dharma nor moksha. It is Artha, usually pronounced in India as Rita or in South India as Ruta, but actually pronounced Artha. It is derived from a verb meaning to go. So it literally means the going, the pattern of motion, the sequence, or the order in which things follow one another. It especially refers to the orderly movement of the constellation that follow each other in a fixed order. So you see them passing by in the sky. And therefrom you get the notion of a natural order, of the natural law. So the very, very, very basic concept of natural law, which underlies all science, is already present in the earliest Rig Veda, which deals with this notion. Therefrom, it comes to mean truth. The usual word for truth is Artha, slightly distinguished from Satya, which nowadays is the usual word for truth. There is a famous saying which has become India's national motto, Satyam Eva Jayate, and so it adds to, the full slogan adds the term na anartha, not untruth. So there it uses the word artha in the meaning of truth, and as effectively a synonym of satya. And so the whole sentence says, truth verily prevails, not untruth. It's a descriptive term, that is to say, it describes the world as it is. That's what natural law does. You see, it doesn't contain a judgment. Let's explain a bit more about this notion of Artha. Artha is personified as the god Varuna. Varuna is the lord of the heavenly hosts. Interestingly, at the same time, Varuna stands for the ocean on earth, as well as for the heavenly ocean, which both have a feeling of infinite space. Traditionally, but we have no Vedic depictions, so this depiction is post-Vedic. But so as far as we can go back, he is depicted on a makara. Now, the meaning of makara is again a bit discussed. A makara means an animal that emerges from the sea. So it can mean a crocodile, which notoriously hides just under the water and can come up very dangerously. It also means a dolphin, which typically jumps out of the water. Intriguingly, Makara is also the Sanskrit name for the constellation of Capricorn. Capricorn likewise depicts an animal arising out of the water, namely a kind of goat which has the tail of a fish. It's called, or you might call it the goatfish. But so it also depicts an animal arising out of the water. It's, symbolically, as astrologers tell me, means the principle of emergence. And so not creation, but emergence. The fact that things arise out of the chaotic, basic existence, it gets a more definite, more precise character, it emerges. In Iran, the same word becomes Asha or Artha. Artha is the ancient form, which you may know from the name Artaxerxes, who is one of the emperors of the Persian Empire. The Iranians, the northern Iranians or Scythians, had expanded all the way to Central Europe, on the borders of the Roman Empire. And so some of them, in times of hardship, took service. Some Iranian names are derived from this concept, do contain this concept, pretty profound philosophical names like Artaxerxes, possibly the name Arthur. There is a theory, and I am inclined to accept it, that the famous British hero King Arthur was modeled on, I mean, he may not be a historically precise description, but was based on a character that really existed, namely a veteran of the Roman army who took up the defense of Britain once the Roman armies had left Britain. Because at some point there was a crisis in the Roman Empire, and so the legions returned to Rome, left Britain to itself. And so the only ones who were capable of taking up the defense when these Anglo-Saxon tribes invaded were these veteran Roman soldiers. So one of them was this Artorius, as his Latinized name sounds. So this Artorius was the Latinized form of an Iranian name, again starting with Artha, because the Iranian Scythians had expanded all the way from Afghanistan to somewhere like Hungary, Croatia, and so one of them had taken service in the Roman legions, and he was posted in Britain. And so there, with a lot of embellishment and so on, of course, the story grew of King Arthur. That's a theory. Anyway, so this name Artha, or in closer history Asha, means the same concept, Artha. He is ruled by Varuna, who gets the form of address in Iranian Ahura Mazda. The Sanskrit form would be Asura Medha, which means Lord Wisdom. So that's a form of address of Varuna, whom we know from the Vedas. That Varuna gradually dwindled in importance in the course of Vedic history might be linked to his association with the Asuras, which was one type of gods, different from the Devas. And this has to do with the war between the Vedic people and the Iranians, which you find famously in the Battle of the 10 Kings, described in the 7th book of the Rig Veda, where the Iranians get defeated by the Vedic people. And so they, and this war took several generations. And so in the course of this war, already early on, the Iranians reject the main god of the Vedic people, namely Indra, and the Devas as a whole. The whole family of gods called the Devas, they reject, they demonize. They become sort of devils, and the main devil is Indra. Indra, also known as Angra Manyu, or in later Persian Ahriman. Now, Angra is a pun on the clan of priests who serve Indra, namely the Angiras. Right? At the same time, it has a meaning, Angra, which is practically the same as English angry. Coincidence. And then Manu is one of the names of Indra, the spirit. So they demonize Indra. They are defeated, so they are really angry at the Vedic people. In the opposite sense, it is much less acute, because after all, the Vedic people are the winners in this particular war, so they don't have much resentment about it. Nevertheless, you do notice that Varuna decreases in importance and gets gradually shunted, away. But so he is part of the Vedic pantheon, and as such, he is one of the Adityas. The Adityas are the heavenly gods, 12 in number, classically. And so the number 12, of course, is a very heavenly number. Later it becomes the number of zodiac signs. In Greece, also in the pantheon, we have the heavenly or Olympic gods, called the Greek dodekatheon, 12-fold gods. In the Germanic pantheon and so on, I mean, it's very common that the number 12 is associated with the gods. So he's the first one among them.